Hey everyone, CJ at OcularCMS. I've shown you how to add data into the database table one by one by clicking the plus button here on the website or another interface in the more advanced menus. But what happens if you have a lot of records, a lot of products in this case, that you want to import all at once? Well, I'm going to show you how to import and export into and out of the database table. Instead of being on the website, what we want to do is we want to go into the menu, and you have to be in advanced mode. And so if you see switch to advanced mode, go ahead and click that. Otherwise, click on Manage Site and then Database, and it's going to pull up your tables. Let's say that we want to export from your products table. So I click on the table itself. Down here I click Export. And there are going to be a few different file formats. There's CSV, Excel, spreadsheet, or tab delimited TXT. I'm going to leave it at Excel, XLS. The data format, data only versus including HTML. Since this is data, there are no descriptions in my table that would involve HTML. So I'm just going to leave it as data only. Recommended to leave it here unless there's a good reason otherwise to select include HTML. Include header, or in other words the field names, I'm going to leave that checked. And then export table. And it says successfully exported, download file here. So if I click on this, it's going to give me the option of opening it or saving it. And once that opens, since it is tab delimited, I'm going to leave the tab checked. Say OK, and we'll take a look. Yep, here we go. The name field, the product ID, price, and weight, and there are 2 records. So that's how you export data. How do you import? Well, import, you click on the import, and a few very important things to keep in mind here. Let me show you an example of what the file should look like. You can either use a spreadsheet and save that spreadsheet as a CSV file, comma separated value file, or you can save it as a TXT file, a tab delimited file. This is an example of a tab delimited file that I have opened up in my editor, and so what you see here is the fields at the top, field names at the top, name, product ID, price, weight. These are all separated by tabs, and then here's my record for one of my new items that I'm going to add, each separated by tabs, and here's my other one. You can either do this manually as I am doing here, or like I said, you can create a spreadsheet and just simply save it as a TXT file, and it'll automatically create what I just showed you. Go ahead and read these on your own. They're very important for certain field types. Once you've saved that file to your computer, click Browse, find the file, and say Open. And if your file does contain, the first row contains the field names, then go ahead and leave this checkbox checked, otherwise uncheck it. Since mine did have the field names in the first row, I'm going to leave it checked. I'll say Next, and this allows you to map the fields. So these over here are the fields in my table, so the name, product ID, and so on. Over here, these are the corresponding, I have that the other way around. These are the fields in the file that I just uploaded. These are the fields in the actual database table. So what I'm going to do is for the name field in my file, I'm going to map it to the name field in the database table. If you aren't sure quite what these are, if you hover over the little plus signs, they give you a sample of the first couple of values for that particular field. So there's my favorite bird, cool bird. If you remember from the original file, those were the names of the items that I'm adding. Hover over that. Those are the, yep, that's product ID, Yep, that makes sense for price. Yep, makes sense for weight. So you continue mapping, and when you're done mapping, you click Next, and it says successfully imported data, and it says 2 records inserted. And so if I were to edit that table and say show all 4 records, you'll be able to see that now there are my 2 new records that I just added. That's how you import and export into and out of your database table. Be sure to check out the other videos related to the database to see how the other parts of the database function. Alright, that's all for now. Thanks.